They instructed him to choose one of the two alien girls as his reward. He looked at them. It floated in a soft green light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Long corridors curved in ways that made him dizzy for a moment, and smooth surfaces reflected the faint glow like calm water. The air smelled faintly sweet, but there was also a tension that Alex could feel in his chest. It was a strange mix of awe and unease. He had come a long way from Earth, across light years of empty space, to this station. Humanity had sent him because they needed someone who could speak to the aliens in a way that was calm, careful, and respectful. But Alex did not expect what he saw next. He walked into the main hall, and the Council of Aliens waited. They were tall, with long limbs and skin that shimmered in soft pastel colors. Their eyes were large and bright, almost too bright for comfort. The hall was quiet except for a faint hum, like the station itself was breathing. At the center, two figures were standing together. Alex immediately noticed them. They were young alien girls, similar in age but very different in appearance. One had hair like silver threads, flowing and shining, and her eyes glowed a soft blue. The other had skin that looked like liquid bronze, and her eyes were golden, like sunlight on metal. Both were dressed in ceremonial robes that shone in the light. Alex could see the nervousness in their posture, the way they shifted their weight from one foot to the other, glancing at each other as if seeking comfort. A tall alien with a deep musical voice stepped forward. "Alex Carter, human envoy. For your deeds in aiding our coalition, we present you with a reward." His words echoed in the hall. Alex swallowed. The words reward and the presence of the two girls made him uneasy. He had been prepared for diplomatic discussions, cultural exchange, perhaps even gifts of technology. But this felt wrong. The council continued. "You may choose one of these girls as your reward. She will serve as your companion and representative in our culture." Alex blinked. He looked at the girls, and he saw the fear and confusion in their faces. He understood immediately that they were not volunteers. They were expected to obey because tradition demanded it. The thought made him clench his fists slightly. Humans had fought for freedom for centuries, for the right to make choices, for the right to say no. And here were two beings, treated as prizes, standing silently while their fates were discussed like objects. Alex forced himself to stay calm. He had to understand what the aliens expected. "Are they willing to come with me?" he asked in his soft, clear voice. The council paused. The tallest one spoke slowly. "They are trained to honor the tradition. Refusal is not common. Obedience is expected." Alex felt a lump in his throat. The girls were trembling slightly. He stepped closer to them, keeping his hands visible. He wanted to show them that he was not a threat. The silver-haired girl, Nira, whispered something to the bronze-skinned girl, Sella. Alex could not understand their words, but the tone was soft, fearful, and questioning. He realized they had no choice in this. No one had explained that humans valued freedom. No one had prepared them for this moment of fear. The thought of forcing them into a position they did not choose made Alex's stomach turn. He turned back to the council. "I cannot accept this. Humans do not take people as rewards. It is not our way." The hall fell silent. The council members, large eyes, studied him like he had just said something impossible. Some of them tilted their heads, as if trying to understand why a human would refuse. Others whispered to each other in musical tones. Nira looked at him, her silver hair falling over one shoulder. Her blue eyes were wide, filled with confusion and hope. Sella's golden eyes met Alex's, and for the first time they felt seen as people, not objects. Alex took a deep breath. He could feel the weight of the moment. Centuries of human values were clashing with centuries of alien tradition, all in one room. "Please," Alex said, kneeling slightly to be closer to their height. "You are not prizes. You can choose what you want. You can stay here, travel, learn, do whatever you wish. You have freedom. No one should take that from you." The girls looked at each other, then back at him. Alex could see relief slowly spreading across their faces, though fear still lingered. The council members murmured, clearly disturbed that a human had challenged the tradition so openly. A soft chime echoed through the hall, signaling the start of a ceremonial debate. Alex stood straight and faced the council. He had prepared for difficult talks before, but never like this. Never where two lives hung in the balance as a reward. The council spoke in their alien language, and Alex had to rely on the translators in his suit. Words flowed like water, fast and melodic, full of meaning he could only partially grasp. The essence, however, was clear. Many council members were angry, some were confused. A few seemed curious. None had expected a human to act against tradition without fear. Alex watched Nira and Sella carefully. He wanted to show them calmness and reassurance. He had no idea what the final decision would be, but he knew one thing: he could not let them be treated as property. He would explain human values clearly, patiently, and firmly. The girls' lives depended on it, as did the council's understanding of humans. He had no weapons, no armies, only words and human principles. And yet he felt a strange confidence. Humans were remembered in history for their courage, their refusal to bow to injustice. He would honor that tradition now. The council continued their debate for hours, and Alex remained patient. He asked questions, listened carefully, and explained human ways of respecting individual choice. He spoke of Earth's history, of struggles against slavery and oppression, of how humans valued consent above wealth or honor. Slowly, the atmosphere in the hall began to shift. Some council members leaned forward, listening more closely. Others looked uneasy, as if they had never considered that a reward could be refused. Nira finally stepped forward, her silver hair shining in the ambient light. She spoke softly, though Alex could not understand her words. He saw her hesitation and courage. Sella followed. The council looked shocked. The two girls were signaling that they wanted to speak for themselves, to express their choice. Alex smiled, slightly proud. He had given them hope, and now they were finding their own voice. The hours passed, and the discussion shifted from anger to negotiation. Alex kept speaking calmly, pointing out that humans earned respect through actions, not possession. He explained that forcing someone to obey was not honor but cruelty. Slowly, the council began to realize that this human was not like others. They were not greedy, not naive, not weak. He was strong in a way they had never expected. Nira and Sella moved closer to Alex, their fear lessening with each passing minute. Alex could feel their trust growing. He realized that this moment would be remembered for centuries, not because of war or power or victory, but because humans refused to accept a reward that went against their values. They valued freedom above all. Alex felt a quiet pride. Humans had done amazing things across the stars, and now he was part of that legacy. As the hall quieted for a moment, Alex looked around. The council was still debating, but the tone had changed. Curiosity had replaced anger in some eyes. Doubt had replaced certainty in others. He knew the first step had been taken. Nira and Sella were no longer symbols, no longer prizes, they were people. And that simple truth was stronger than any weapon in the galaxy. Alex turned to the girls once more. "No matter what happens," he said softly, "remember that your choice is yours. No one can take it from you. You have value because you are alive, free, and thinking. No reward can give that better than what you already have." Nira and Sella nodded, understanding more than words could say. The light in their eyes glimmered with hope, and Alex felt a deep relief. The council would continue their debate, but Alex had planted a seed. A seed of understanding, a small but powerful proof that humans were not just creatures of force, but creatures of principle. The girls were safe for now, and the future held possibilities that had never been imagined before. Alex took a deep breath and prepared for the long hours ahead, knowing that the first part of his mission was complete. The choice he refused had opened a door for freedom, respect, and a new understanding between two very different worlds. And so, Alex stood quietly in the chamber, watching the council, watching the two alien girls, and feeling the strange mixture of fear and hope that came with changing the hearts of an entire culture. One word at a time, the council chamber remained quiet after Alex's words. The two alien girls, Nira and Sella, moved slightly closer to each other, their hands brushing in an unconscious gesture of comfort. Alex watched them carefully. He knew they were nervous, and he wanted them to feel that he was not a threat. The silence stretched, broken only by the soft hum of the station. The council members were speaking quietly among themselves, their strange melodic voices rising and falling in a rhythm that Alex could barely follow. He relied on his translator to understand their words, though it was clear that much of their meaning came from tone, gesture, and intent. Alex turned his attention to the girls. "I know this is frightening," he said softly, "but you are not alone. You have the right to choose. No one can force you to do something against your will." Nira's blue eyes shimmered, and Sella's golden eyes widened slightly. They had never heard these words before. In their culture, tradition had always dictated obedience. They had been trained to follow orders, to serve the council, and to accept the consequences of refusal. The idea of choice was new, even strange. Yet they felt it was something good, something that gave them strength instead of fear. The council's eldest member stepped forward. His skin was a soft shade of lavender and his eyes glowed faintly white. He spoke slowly, clearly trying to emphasize the importance of his words. "Human," he said, "you challenge the foundation of our culture. To refuse a reward is unusual. It may be seen as disrespect." "Why do you act this way?" Alex took a deep breath. He had anticipated the question. "Because humans respect freedom," Alex said. "We respect the choices of others. Taking someone as a reward is wrong. It does not matter how kind you think your intentions are. No one should be treated as property. These girls are not objects. They are people and they have a right to choose their own path." He glanced at Nira and Sela. The girls nodded slightly, their expressions showing gratitude mixed with fear. They could not speak the words aloud yet, but they understood that someone was speaking for them. The lavender-skinned council member frowned. "But they are trained to obey. Their families, their lives, it is the way we honor achievement." "How can you refuse such an honor?" Alex shook his head gently. "Honor is not measured by possession. Honor comes from protecting others, from making the right choices even when it is hard. This is how humans see it. No gift is worth the suffering of another being." The council whispered among themselves. Some faces showed confusion, others frustration, and a few curiosity. Alex noticed that the younger members seemed particularly interested. They leaned forward, listening carefully. Perhaps some of them had never considered that tradition could be questioned. Alex hoped they would see that strength came not from forcing obedience, but from understanding and respect. He turned back to the girls. "You can tell me what you want," he said. "You can stay here, you can travel, you can study, you can do anything. I cannot make the choice for you. Only you can." Nira's silver hair fell over her shoulder as she took a small step forward. Sela followed, her bronze skin glowing faintly in the chamber light. Alex could see the relief in their eyes. For the first time, they felt some control over their lives. The fear in their posture slowly eased, replaced by a fragile hope. The council elder spoke again. "Human, do you understand the consequences of your actions? By refusing this reward, you challenge centuries of tradition. The council may view this as disrespectful. It could endanger your position here. Are you willing to take this risk?" Alex's jaw tightened slightly, but he met the elder's glowing eyes without fear. "Yes. I am willing. Human values are worth standing for. I will not accept a reward that harms others. That is not honor, and I cannot participate in it." Some council members whispered urgently to each other. Alex could see that his words were stirring debate. The girls, sensing the shift, looked at each other. They realized that Alex's refusal was giving them a chance to speak. Nira's voice came first, soft but clear. We do not want to be taken," she said, barely audible. Sela nodded quickly, adding, "We want to choose." "Please," the council members looked shocked. No one had spoken in this way before. Alex felt a surge of pride and relief. The girls were finding their voice. The debate among the council members grew louder. Some were angry, insisting that tradition must be followed. Others were curious, asking if perhaps humans were showing a new path. Alex stayed calm, watching, listening. He knew that patience was important. Rushing would only make things worse. Instead, he spoke when necessary, reminding the council that respect and freedom were not weaknesses, but strengths. Nira and Sela stepped a little closer to Alex. He gestured for them to stay calm. "You are safe here," he said. "I will not let anyone harm you. Your choice is yours alone." The girls nodded, and Alex could see their shoulders relax slightly. Even in the alien chamber, surrounded by unfamiliar beings, they were beginning to feel hope. Hours passed. The council continued to argue. Alex listened, translated, and spoke carefully. He pointed out examples from human history where freedom had always been valued above wealth or power. He explained that a reward that removed choice was not honor but cruelty. Slowly, some council members seemed to understand. Curiosity replaced anger in a few faces. They leaned forward, listening carefully. Alex knew that the change would not happen overnight, but the first seeds had been planted. As the debate continued, Alex noticed small gestures from the girls. Nira touched Sela's hand lightly. Sela smiled faintly, her eyes brightening. Alex felt a warmth in his chest. Even in this strange, tense environment, small signs of courage and hope appeared. He realized that his words had an impact not only on the council but also on these two young aliens. He had helped them see that they were more than symbols. The council elder spoke again, his voice deep and slow. "Human, we are beginning to understand your point. Your actions are strange, but there is value in them. Perhaps we have underestimated the power of choice." Alex nodded. He knew the elder was starting to see what he meant. Human principles were strange to these aliens, but the idea that respect could be stronger than tradition was beginning to take root. Nira and Sella began to whisper to each other. Alex could not understand the words, but the tone was hopeful. The girls were starting to believe that their voices mattered. Alex smiled gently. "Remember," he said, "freedom is a gift, not just for you, but for everyone you meet. Choosing what is right, even when it is hard, is the strongest power you can have." Slowly, the council seemed to accept that the girls had a choice. Some members nodded, while others continued to whisper. Alex could feel the tension in the hall easing slightly. The girls, sensing the change, straightened their posture. Hope filled their eyes, and Alex felt a deep satisfaction. He had faced a challenge without weapons, without armies, only principles and patience, and he had made a difference. As the hours passed into evening, the council finally paused. They looked at Alex, then at the girls. The room was quiet. Nira and Sella stood together, their hands touching lightly. Alex could see determination in their eyes. For the first time, they understood that they had the right to decide their own fate. And in that moment, the human envoy had not only defended his own principles, but also given courage to two young aliens who had never experienced freedom before. Alex felt a quiet pride. Humans were remembered for their courage, their willingness to stand for what was right even when it was difficult. He had done that, and now the girls were beginning to feel it too. The chamber, once tense and fearful, seemed to breathe more softly. Light reflected off the walls in gentle patterns, almost like the station itself was approving of this new understanding. He turned to Nira and Sella. "The council will listen now," he said softly. "But remember, your voice is yours. Never let anyone take that away." The girls nodded, a faint smile appearing on each face. Alex felt relief. He had faced an impossible situation with calm and respect. He had honored human values, and in doing so, he had changed the course of these young lives. The council would continue to deliberate, but the first victory had been won. The girls had found their voice, and Alex had shown that humans were not just creatures of force or ambition, but creatures of principle, courage, and compassion. And in the soft glow of the alien chamber, with Nira and Sella standing quietly beside him, Alex felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that this was only the beginning of something greater. The council chamber was quiet after the girls spoke. Alex Carter stood near them, his hands relaxed at his sides, showing that he was not a threat. Nira and Sella stayed close together, their small gestures full of cautious hope. The council members whispered among themselves, their melodic voices rising and falling. It was clear that many of them had never seen anything like this before. A human refusing a reward, two young aliens asserting their own choice. It was unsettling for some and intriguing for others. Alex felt the weight of the moment. He knew that what he had done so far had planted a seed, but now the council would test him further. Their next questions would be sharper, more direct, designed to confuse or intimidate. He had to remain calm and patient. He could see the challenge in their eyes, but he also saw curiosity, a glimmer of understanding, and that gave him hope. The council elder, the lavender-skinned one, stepped forward. His eyes glowed faintly white, and he spoke slowly, carefully. "Human, you continue to refuse what is considered the highest honor in our culture. Your words influence our young. You encourage disobedience. Why do you not accept what we offer?" Alex looked at him directly, his tone steady and calm. "Because what you call honor is not honor to humans. We measure honor by our actions, by how we treat others. Taking someone as a reward, even if tradition says it is right, is wrong. These girls are not objects. They are people, and they deserve freedom." Some council members whispered urgently to each other. Others frowned, leaning forward to listen. Alex realized that the chamber was filled with tension, but he stayed calm. He knew that he could not win by anger or force. His weapon was reason, patience, and principle. He had to show the council that humans were different, and that difference could be respected. Nira spoke softly, her voice trembling but clear. "Please, we do not want this. We want to choose." Sella nodded quickly, adding, "We want freedom. We want to decide our lives." The council members looked shocked. In their culture, no one spoke against tradition so openly, especially young individuals. Alex could see the surprise in the faces of the older council members, but he also saw something else: interest. Perhaps they were beginning to understand what he meant. The lavender-skinned elder sighed, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of centuries. "Human, if we allow them to choose, it may appear that we are weak. Our traditions are challenged openly. Will you accept the consequences of this action?" Alex's jaw tightened slightly, but he met the elder's glowing eyes without fear. "Yes, I accept any consequences. Freedom is more important than fear." Human history is full of examples where standing for what is right was difficult, but it was necessary. Whispers spread through the chamber like a soft wind. Some council members shook their heads, clearly angry. Others leaned forward, intrigued. Alex noticed that the younger members were especially attentive. Perhaps they had never considered that tradition could be questioned in this way. He hoped they would carry this lesson forward, that the idea of choice could grow in their culture. Alex turned to Nira and Sella. "Your choice is your own," he said. "No one can take that from you. Remember that. Stay calm and speak when you are ready." The girls nodded slightly, relief showing in their expressions. Even though the situation was still tense, they began to feel a small sense of control, a power they had never known before. The council continued to argue, their voices rising and falling in melodic tones. Alex listened carefully, translating in his mind and preparing responses. He spoke when necessary, reminding them that respect and freedom were not weaknesses but strengths. Slowly, some council members began to lean forward, showing interest rather than anger. Alex saw that change was possible, but he knew patience was key. Hours passed. The debate continued, but Alex noticed small signs of understanding. The girls whispered to each other, their fear easing slightly. Nira reached out and touched Sella's hand gently. Sella responded with a small smile. Alex felt warmth in his chest. Even in this strange chamber, far from Earth, courage and hope were growing. He realized that his words had made a difference not only to the council, but also to these two young aliens. The lavender-skinned elder spoke again, his voice softer now. "Human, your actions are unusual. They challenge our culture deeply. Yet there is truth in your words. Perhaps there is value in considering freedom alongside tradition." Alex nodded. He knew this was a small but important victory. The council was beginning to see that human values were not weaknesses, but a source of strength and respect. He turned to the girls. "Remember, your voice matters," he said. "No one can take it from you. Freedom is the greatest gift you can have, and it is yours. Choose wisely and be proud of your choice." Nira and Sella nodded, their faces glowing with determination. For the first time, they understood that they had power over their own lives, and they felt hope. The council murmured among themselves. Some members looked thoughtful, others skeptical, and a few nodded slowly, as if accepting the idea. Alex could see that change was not complete, but the first step had been taken. He had planted a seed of understanding, showing that humans valued freedom and respect above all else. As evening approached, the council finally paused. They looked at Alex, then at the girls. The room was quiet, filled with anticipation. Nira and Sella stood together, hands touching lightly, a symbol of courage and hope. Alex felt pride. Humans were remembered for their willingness to stand for what was right, even when it was difficult. He had done that, and now the girls were beginning to feel the same courage. He spoke softly so only the girls could hear. "No matter what happens, remember your choice is yours. Stay calm, speak clearly, and trust yourself. Freedom is worth more than fear." The girls nodded, their eyes shining. Alex could see determination in their posture. They were ready to face the council, to assert their own choice. The council remained in discussion, but the atmosphere had changed. Tension had shifted to curiosity. Anger had softened into thoughtfulness. Alex realized that even small actions could create change. He had refused a reward, spoken for the girls, and shown the council that humans were strong not because of power or force, but because of principle and courage. Nira and Sella whispered again, their voices barely audible. Alex could not understand the words, but their tone was hopeful, full of quiet strength. He smiled slightly. The girls were finding their own voice, their own power. Even in this alien chamber far from home, they were learning that freedom was their right. Hours turned into night. The council's discussion slowed. Alex remained patient, calm, and observant. He knew that change would not be instant. Some council members would resist, some would question, but the seed had been planted. Nira and Sella had seen that humans valued freedom above all, and they were beginning to internalize that lesson. Alex spoke once more, quietly but firmly. Do not fear the council. Speak honestly. Remember that freedom is your strength. Stand together and no one can take it from you. Nira and Sella nodded, their small gestures showing confidence. Alex felt relief and pride. He had faced a challenge with no weapons, no armies, only words and patience, and he had succeeded in giving these young aliens hope. The chamber was quiet now, filled with anticipation. The council had not reached a decision, but the first victory was clear. Nira and Sella had found their voices, and Alex had shown that humans were creatures of principle, courage, and respect. He felt a deep sense of purpose. He knew that this moment would be remembered, not for battle or conquest, but for courage, patience, and the refusal to accept injustice. As Alex watched the girls, he felt a quiet satisfaction. Nira and Sella were no longer symbols or prizes. They were people. They had the right to choose, and they were beginning to understand their power. And in the soft glow of the alien chamber, Alex realized that the story of humans would spread not because of weapons, but because of courage, principle, and respect for freedom. The night deepened. The council members rested, their discussions paused. Alex stood quietly, watching Nira and Sella. He felt hope. The girls were learning, the council was listening, and human values were taking root in an alien culture. It was a small step, but it was the beginning of something greater. The story of courage, respect, and freedom was just starting to unfold the next morning. The council chamber was filled with a soft green light. Alex Carter stood near Nira and Sella, watching the council members gather. The previous day's debate had left many of them thoughtful. Some whispered quietly to each other, their melodic voices soft but intense. The air was still tense, but there was a new sense of possibility. Alex could feel it. The council was beginning to see that humans were different. They were strong not because of power or weapons, but because of principles and courage. The lavender-skinned elder, still carrying the weight of centuries, spoke first. Human, we have discussed long and hard. Your words are strange, but there is logic in them. Perhaps tradition does not always define honor. What you propose challenges us deeply. How do you suggest we honor achievement without breaking our customs? Alex took a deep breath. He had thought about this carefully. He knew he could not simply refuse and leave the chamber. He needed a solution, one that would respect both human values and alien tradition. Let me propose a way forward, Alex said. The reward does not have to be a person. It can be an opportunity. Honor can be given through freedom, learning, and shared knowledge. Instead of taking these girls as a reward, give them the choice to act as ambassadors, to study, to share your culture with humans and other species. Let their actions, not their obedience, be the measure of achievement. He looked at Nira and Sella. Their faces reflected hope and cautious understanding. The council members murmured among themselves. Some faces showed surprise, others showed concern. A few, especially the younger members, leaned forward, curious. Alex realized that change was slow, but the seed of understanding had been planted. He needed to guide it carefully. Nira spoke first, her voice soft but confident. We would like to help. We want to learn, to share, to have the choice ourselves. Sella nodded beside her. We want to be free, but we also want to honor the council's tradition in our way. Alex felt a surge of pride. The girls were learning to combine courage with wisdom. They were showing the council that humans were right. Freedom and responsibility could exist together. The elder raised his glowing eyes to Alex. If we allow this, it may appear that we weaken our tradition. Some members will oppose us. How can we ensure respect for our customs while giving these girls freedom? Alex smiled slightly. He had anticipated this question. Honor does not come from possession. It comes from recognition of effort, courage, and choice. You can celebrate achievement by allowing the girls to choose their path. If they act with wisdom, if they contribute to your society, they will honor your tradition without being forced. The council's murmurs grew louder. Some members shook their heads, clearly upset. Others nodded slowly, seeing the logic. Alex knew he had to speak carefully, so he continued. Humans do not see freedom as weakness. We see it as strength. Allowing choice shows trust and respect. It does not destroy tradition, it strengthens it. A reward that encourages learning, responsibility, and courage is more honorable than one that forces obedience. The elder paused, considering Alex's words. He turned to the other council members. Perhaps there is wisdom in this human's perspective. We may find that tradition can grow stronger by adapting, not by enforcing. Are we ready to test this idea? Whispers filled the chamber. Alex saw that some members were still skeptical, but curiosity and thoughtfulness were spreading. Neera and Sella stepped closer to Alex. "We are ready," Neera said. "We want to choose, we want to honor our culture, but in a way that respects freedom." Sella nodded, her golden eyes shining. Alex felt a warmth in his chest. The girls were learning quickly. They were understanding human values and blending them with their own. He knew that this would set an example for the entire council. The lavender-skinned elder spoke again. "Human, if we agree to this, will you guide the girls? Will you help them understand both human and alien values so they may act wisely?" Alex nodded. "I will. I will teach them, advise them, and help them understand responsibility, courage, and freedom. Together, we can show that honor comes from choice and action, not possession." A young council member with skin like pale gold stepped forward. Her eyes glowed faintly green. "But what of tradition?" she asked. "Will the council accept that the reward is now a choice, not a possession? Will others see this as weakness?" Alex smiled calmly. "Change is difficult. Some will resist, but true strength is not shown through force. It is shown through courage, principle, and wisdom. If the council supports the girls' freedom, they show that their tradition is adaptable and wise, not weak." The council murmured. Alex noticed that some members nodded slowly, as if accepting the reasoning. Others remained skeptical but quiet, considering the human's words. He realized that patience and calm explanation were as important as courage. He had to guide them carefully. Neera spoke softly. "We want to act wisely. We want to learn to share, to honor our culture and humans at the same time. Please, council, allow us this choice." Sella added, "We are ready to take responsibility. We want to show that freedom and respect can coexist." Alex felt pride. The girls were not just responding. They were thinking, reasoning, and asserting themselves. He could see that their courage was influencing the council as much as his words had. The lavender-skinned elder considered this for a long moment. "Human, the girls speak wisely. They show courage, understanding, and respect. Perhaps we have underestimated the value of choice. Perhaps honor can grow when it is given freely, not taken forcibly." Alex felt a sense of relief. The first real step toward agreement had been made. The council debated further, but the tone had changed. Curiosity and thoughtfulness replaced anger. Alex listened carefully, translating and guiding when necessary. He emphasized that human values did not conflict with alien tradition, they strengthened it. The girls' willingness to learn and act responsibly became a symbol of hope and possibility. As hours passed, the council finally reached a tentative decision. The lavender-skinned elder spoke. "Human, Neera, Sella, we agree to allow choice. The girls will serve as ambassadors, learners, and representatives if they wish. Their actions, wisdom, and courage will honor our tradition. No one will force them. They are free to decide their path." Alex felt a surge of relief. He looked at the girls. Their faces reflected hope, determination, and gratitude. Neera stepped forward, her voice steady. "Thank you. We will do our best. We will honor both our culture and human values. We will show that freedom and respect are strong." Sella nodded beside her. Alex smiled. The girls were ready to embrace their new responsibility. They had chosen freely, and they understood that true honor came from action, not obedience. The council members murmured among themselves. Some nodded slowly, some still looked uncertain, but the agreement was clear. Alex knew that this was only the beginning. The girls would need guidance, learning, and support to navigate this new role. He was ready to provide it. He turned to Neera and Sella. "Remember, your voice is yours. Your actions are yours. Make wise choices, act with courage, and respect both cultures. That is how you honor yourselves and everyone around you." The girls nodded, absorbing the meaning of his words. They were ready to begin this new chapter. The chamber, once tense and fearful, now held a quiet optimism. Change had begun, slowly but surely. Alex felt pride in what they had achieved together. Humans had stood for principle, guided the girls, and shown that respect and freedom could influence even the oldest traditions. The station seemed to hum with approval, soft light reflecting the hope in the chamber. As the day ended, Alex walked with Neera and Sella through the curved corridors of the station. The girls spoke softly, asking questions, sharing thoughts, and beginning to understand both human and alien perspectives. Alex listened patiently, guiding them, teaching them, and preparing them for the responsibilities ahead. The station no longer felt frightening. It felt like a place of possibility where courage, principle, and freedom could grow. Alex knew the council's decision was only the start. There would be challenges, misunderstandings, and resistance, but the foundation was strong. The girls had chosen freely. The council had listened. And humanity had shown, once again, that true strength came not from force, but from courage, wisdom, and respect for others. And in the quiet of the station corridors, with Neera and Sella walking beside him, Alex felt hope. He had helped two young aliens claim their freedom. He had shown the council that humans valued principles above power. And he knew that this small victory would echo across the galaxy. A reminder that courage, freedom, and honor could change even the most rigid traditions. The morning light of the station filled the chamber softly. Alex Carter stood beside Neera and Sella, watching as the council members took their seats. The air was quieter than usual, filled with curiosity and anticipation rather than tension. The decision from the previous day had changed the atmosphere. The council had seen a human stand for principle, and two young aliens had chosen freedom. Now it was time to see the results of that choice. Neera and Sella walked confidently to the center of the chamber. Their steps were careful but steady. Alex watched them with pride. They had learned quickly, grown stronger, and found courage in their own voices. They were no longer just symbols or prizes. They were individuals who could make decisions and take responsibility. The council observed them closely, their large eyes filled with both skepticism and hope. Alex spoke first. "Remember, this is your moment. You have the right to act freely, to honor your culture, and to show courage. Speak clearly, act wisely, and trust yourself." The girls nodded, their faces bright with determination. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction. Humanity had stood for principle and respect, and now he was watching its effect on the next generation of alien leaders. Neera raised her voice first. "Council members, we thank you for allowing us to choose. We will act responsibly. We want to learn about human values and your culture. We will serve as ambassadors, not as property. We will show that freedom and respect can coexist," Sella added. "We want to honor tradition, but in a way that respects all beings. We will prove that courage is stronger than obedience when it is combined with wisdom." The council murmured among themselves. Some members looked surprised, some pleased, and a few still skeptical. Alex could feel the shift in the room. What had once been fear and tension was now cautious optimism. The girls' words had given clarity to the council. Their courage had shown that freedom was not weakness but strength. The lavender-skinned elder spoke again. "Human Neera, Sella, your words are clear and thoughtful. Perhaps we have learned something. Perhaps tradition is not only about obedience, but also about wisdom, courage, and choice. These girls have acted with honor not because they were forced, but because they chose to." Alex nodded slightly. He felt the weight of the moment. Centuries of tradition were being influenced by human principles. One of the younger council members, her skin pale gold and her eyes glowing green, stood and spoke. "We see that freedom can strengthen tradition. Choice does not destroy honor, it enhances it." The girl's courage shows that respect and responsibility can coexist. Alex felt relief. The younger members' voices were important. They would carry this lesson forward, spreading the idea that freedom could be honored without weakening society. Neera and Sella glanced at each other. Their faces reflected pride and determination. They had taken a difficult step, and it had been accepted. Alex smiled. They had learned quickly, and now they had the chance to act, to influence others, and to show that humans were not just strong in force, but in principle. The council continued to speak, now in softer, thoughtful tones. Some members were still skeptical, but most seemed to consider the idea seriously. Alex listened carefully, translating and guiding when needed. He emphasized that human values did not conflict with alien tradition. They could strengthen it. The girls' willingness to act responsibly became a symbol of hope and change. Hours passed as the council discussed the implementation of this new approach. Alex stayed nearby, offering guidance and reassurance to Neera and Sella. The girls asked questions, shared ideas, and slowly began to understand the responsibilities they had accepted. Alex felt pride. They were learning not just about freedom, but about leadership, courage, and the weight of choice. The council elder finally spoke. Human, we will honor your principles and the girls' choices. They will serve as ambassadors and learners. Their actions will honor our culture and our tradition. No one will force them. Their freedom is respected. Alex felt relief wash over him. The council had agreed and the girls had claimed their right to act, learn, and grow. Nira spoke, her voice steady. Thank you. We will do our best. We will honor both our culture and human values. We will show that courage, respect, and freedom can guide our actions. Sella nodded beside her. Alex smiled. They were ready. Their courage had transformed not only their lives but also the thinking of an entire council. The council members murmured among themselves, some nodding slowly, others still thoughtful. The change had begun. Alex realized that this was only the start. The girls would face challenges, misunderstandings, and tests of character. But they had the tools they needed: courage, principle, and the freedom to act. Alex felt pride. Humanity's influence had spread not through weapons or force, but through respect and wisdom. As the day passed, Alex guided Nira and Sella through the station. He taught them about human culture, history, and values. He showed them how to communicate with others, how to act responsibly, and how to honor both human and alien traditions. The girls listened carefully, absorbing every lesson. Their confidence grew. They began to understand that freedom was not just a right, but a responsibility. Nira asked questions about human history, about how humans had fought for freedom and equality. Sella asked about human principles and how they applied in difficult situations. Alex answered patiently, explaining that courage, respect, and wisdom were always stronger than fear or obedience. The girls nodded, understanding not just the words but the meaning behind them. As days turned into weeks, Nira and Sella began to take on responsibilities in the council. They acted as liaisons, sharing their understanding of human values with other aliens. They demonstrated that freedom could coexist with tradition, that courage and respect could guide actions. Alex watched with pride as the girls grew into capable and thoughtful leaders. The council, initially skeptical, began to accept this new way. Younger members, inspired by Nira and Sella, started to consider that human principles were not a threat but a strength. The elder council members, while cautious, saw the value in combining freedom with responsibility. Alex realized that this small change could influence generations to come. One evening, Alex stood in the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Nira and Sella joined him, standing quietly beside him. The girls had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. Alex felt pride and hope. Humanity's values had made a difference, and the girls were now part of that legacy. "Look at the stars," Alex said softly. "They remind us that we are small in the universe, but our actions can have a great impact. Courage, principle, and respect can change the world, even here among the stars." Nira smiled, her silver hair glowing in the soft light. Sella nodded, her golden eyes reflecting the distant suns. They understood. They had learned, grown, and chosen wisely. The council would continue to debate, to make decisions, and to test new ideas. But Alex knew that a lasting change had begun. The girls' courage, combined with human principles, had influenced an entire culture. They had shown that freedom and respect could guide action, that honor could exist without force, and that courage could reshape tradition. As Alex walked with Nira and Sella back to the main chamber, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had faced a challenge without weapons, without armies, relying only on patience, wisdom, and principle. He had helped two young aliens claim their freedom, guide a council, and begin a new path for their people. The girls' smiles reflected hope and determination. They were no longer symbols or prizes. They were individuals, leaders, and ambassadors of a new understanding. Alex knew that their influence would spread, inspiring others to value freedom, courage, and respect. Humanity's legacy had grown, not through power but through principle. The stars outside shone quietly, distant but constant. Alex, Nira, and Sella looked at them together, united by choice, courage, and respect. The chamber was peaceful now, filled with quiet optimism. The council had accepted change. The girls had chosen freely. And humanity's example had shown that true strength comes from courage, wisdom, and the refusal to compromise on principle. As the day ended, Alex felt hope for the future. The story of humans, of Nira and Sella, and of the council's transformation would spread. It would be remembered not for battle or conquest, but for courage, principle, and respect for freedom. And in the quiet of the station, with the stars shining above, Alex knew that this was only the beginning of a new era, one where courage, wisdom, and freedom could guide actions across the galaxy. He watched the girls take their first steps as ambassadors, confident and aware, ready to face challenges with courage and wisdom. Alex smiled. Humanity had made a difference, not with weapons, not with force, but with principles. The girls had chosen, the council had learned, and a small but powerful change had begun. The galaxy, once distant and impersonal, now felt a little brighter, a little wiser, and full of hope. And in that quiet, glowing chamber, Alex knew that humans were remembered not just for strength, but for courage, principle, and the willingness to stand for what is right, even when it was hard. He had done his part, and Nira and Sella would carry the lesson forward, showing that freedom, respect, and courage were the truest forms of honor.